Hey, it's Becky, and today I'm going to be talking about A Court of Miracles by Kester Grant. A Court of Miracle has been pitched to be very similar to Six of Crows, and it's actually set in Paris, France in the 1800s. It's in an alternate Paris, France though, and it's set just after the French Revolution has failed and the monarchy is still in power. The city is divided between the royals and nobility and the criminal underbelly of the city. This consists of 9 guilds which cover different kinds of criminal activity, and this forms the Court of Miracles. This book follows Nina, who is a cat burglar and is part of the Thieves Guild. She spends most of her time doing midnight robberies, sneaking into places she shouldn't be, and hiding from her abusive father. When her father tries to sell off her kind of adopted sister, Etty, she realizes that she needs to do something to save her, as the Eye of the Tiger, who is the Lord of the Guild of Flesh, has took a liking to Etty, and she doesn't want her sister to suffer at the hands of him or anyone else. The book actually takes Nina and Etty from the criminal underbelly into the palace and back out again, all whilst talking to rebels and nobility alike. The Court of Miracles is being sold as kind of a Les Mis Six of Crows crossover, which is great, I guess, but I've not read either of those books so far, so I can't really comment on whether it lives up to that hype or not. So I'm just going to talk about what I actually thought of it and not compare it to other books, which hopefully will still be helpful in this review. My main thing that drew me to this book was the criminal underbelly and the guild and the kind of Court of Miracles itself. It reminded me a lot of the court in the Pirates of the Caribbean films, and I was really excited to see how that panned out and if is explored a bit more in that way. Nina has been trained from a very young age, as her father is actually a master in the Thieves Guild. Because of this, she's nicknamed the Black Cat, and she promises herself to the guild herself in order to keep herself safe from her father, after her father sold her actual sister to the Guild of Flesh. Whilst Nina tries to formulate a plan to save her sister, that's when Etty comes in, and she realizes she also needs to save Etty from the possible harm that's going to come to her, the same as her real sister. What I really loved about Nina is that despite being absolutely hell-bent on helping her sister and then helping Etty, she doesn't really put other people in harm's way unless they deserve it. And so she's, for example, with Etty, she was going to give her up in exchange for her sister, but realised at the last moment that she actually had morals and she was a good person, which I really enjoyed the conflict between that ideal and her being a criminal still and part of the Court of Miracles. I also really enjoyed the contrast of her being next to her father, who is a master in the Thieves Guild, but also kind of screws over so many other people within the guilds themselves, and how she's definitely learned how to be a better person. Nina being the Black Cat is also really interesting because she can seem to get into everywhere and anywhere that she wants because she is so good at what she does. She actually has a plan to steal the crown jewels from the prince himself whilst he's sleeping. This becomes a running kind of gag throughout the book, where she constantly meets him again and again, and because of that first introduction, he's actually really intrigued about her, and so she's not immediately arrested. On top of this, Nina's always really thinking about how to get out of a situation or how to get her job that she needs done. And I really enjoy this about her because she's always on the ball, she's always thinking, and she's very confident in herself that she can do this by herself. Although in a lot of instances she also goes to get help from lots of different people, whether it's in her guild or outside her guild or outside of that completely. And I really enjoy throughout the book is despite her going wrong for some of the plans earlier on, by the end of the book she's kind of become a lot more mature and adept at making these plans. Speaking of the Thieves Guild as well, I really enjoyed the scenes where we were introduced to this, but not just because of the Thieves Guild itself, but because this is how we were introduced to the Court of Miracles that's on the cover. I really enjoyed the world building around this because this place is literally filled with thieves of all different kinds, and the group together treasures that they managed to steal over the years. Just in my head, I just really pictured this so clearly when I was reading it that I just enjoyed the writing style so much. Once Nina is pledged to the Thieves Guild as well, she refuses to call anyone but the Lord of the Guild her father, and anyone but the city of Paris itself, her mother. And I really enjoyed how this really emphasized the importance of this society and this community of the guilds in with Paris and the city, and how that drives people's motivations to do what they do. Etty, who is Nina's sister by choice and not by blood, is amazing too. She's such a sweetheart, she's so lovely, and she cares so deeply about those people around her that I just love her completely. Despite also joining the Court of Miracles herself in a different guild, I really enjoyed how she kept being herself and she didn't succumb to the criminal activity as much as other people, and she didn't become a bad person. I really enjoyed the development throughout the book of these two growing up together and learning from each other and depending on each other so well. This relationship was, whilst they're not real sisters, I really enjoyed reading about their sisterly bond and how they would do anything for each other. Plus, I also love how Nina fully trains Etty to be completely dependent on herself if needed. She knows how to get through the day and the tough streets of Paris and in the criminal underbelly. Our villain in this book is the Tiger, who is the Lord of the Guild of Flesh, and he has a quite good backstory, I would say. We find out exactly why he's come to be a lord of this guild and also why he's changed it up so much and his motivations behind it. I really loved the effort put into writing why he was doing what he was doing and why he didn't really care about the rules of the Court of Miracles and why he would go against them, despite no one being able to really stop him up until now. He's very much he wants what he wants, and if he doesn't get it, he's going to force it to happen. And what I loved most about this was the change of seeing Nina as a child that's getting in his way to an actual enemy who's going to do harm and was up to his standards of thieving and criminal. The Court of Miracles is made up of the different guilds, but it's also made up of so many different people, and all these people are family to one another. And despite some of these criminals being completely morally corrupt and often bad people, I really enjoyed that there was often an emphasis on they would do anything to help each other, especially the characters we met in the different guilds who helped Nina. I also really enjoyed that in this court there is no judgment just based on race or religion. I enjoyed that Grant made sure that her book was diverse and had lots of different people of different races and religions, and this really pointed out the class issue in Paris at the time, which I thought was really interesting. The world building around Paris and the underbelly of the city and the palace is also really well written. I enjoyed reading it so much. And the snippets of information that you get at the beginning of the book, which comes up later, when they say that the dead lord loves to tell stories, it really does feel like you've fallen into one very quickly in this book. This book also includes lots of different characters, including an assassin, a rebel, and a prince. I enjoyed that each of these people got a situation with Etty where we realised what her relationship was with each of them and how it had expanded on from the beginning of the book. And what I enjoyed most was that it didn't turn into a huge love triangle square between Nina and the three different people, and I enjoyed that it was very clear that Nina was just trying to save her sister for the majority of the book. The pacing itself is very slow, especially at the start of the book, but there are time skips which help pull it forward while still giving us the main factors which have made these girls what they are today. But the pace definitely picks up closer to the end of the book and a little bit in the middle as we try to figure out the secrets of the Court of Miracles and what's actually going on in the city. But yeah, the only thing I really had a problem was that slow start, which was probably mainly due to world building rather than anything else. And I could probably push past that, and I did push past that to read that entire book. Overall, I really enjoyed A Court of Miracles. The last time I really read a book that was similar to this was Into the Crooked Place, where they had a criminal underbelly in that city too, but this really took on a kind of more historical Paris French Revolution approach, and I enjoyed the political side to it from that angle. I'm super excited to read the sequel of this book and any of the books from Kester Grant, and I would like to thank you for watching. I hope to see you again soon.